What can you learn from motorsport racing? That's probably a question like I've seen on even a lot of like subreddit posts. I've seen, what do you get out of motorsport racing? I'm gonna answer that question like it's not just, I'm not just gonna be answering that, you know, what skills do you get out and all that. I'm also gonna be like even just lifelong things like, you know, friendships and all that from like even just racing for fun. So if I'm like stuttering a lot, that's just because I'm also focused on driving. But the way I see it with motor racing, I'm gonna start off with sort of the friendship aspect and all that. Like, so I've raced go-karts for quite a few years. I haven't raced for a while, but I started racing when I was about 7 years old. But I started driving when I was about 5.5, 6 years old. But with motor racing, especially like go-karts and that, where people take it seriously, but not as seriously as, for example, just racing, you know, proper cars. So the way I see it with motorsports racing is just going to the track every day and all that. You meet a lot of people, you know, you make friends, you make enemies. But from motorsport racing, I know you get a lot of friends out of like motorsport racing and all that. It's almost a very social, like if you're not racing like competitively, or like let's say you're kind of racing but not like sort of all up there like Formula 1 and, you know, V8 supercars and all that. It's like, I find that it's more like a sort of making friends almost sort of thing. Like you get a lot of like out of racing, you get a lot of friends out of racing, which is, I found I've got like some of my lifelong friends have been out of racing. But like sort of racing's almost like, for me, it makes it more enjoyable if you have friends along there with you, because, you know, if something happens to you, you have a crash, there's gonna be people, you know, coming up to you saying, oh, you're right, you know, just things like that, just sort of that support you need. And I found if I'm going through a hard time in my life, I feel just going on the go-kart tracks, like I used to feel like going to the go-kart tracks and all that, having all like such a good community around you of just other races. It's a really good thing to sort of have. And, you know, it's kind of not like schoolyards where there's just separate little packs. It's more like it's just one big group of people that all just sort of want to get out there and have a good time. So yeah, that's really what I like about sort of the friendship aspect of sort of racing and all that. Yeah, it's a very good, you make a lot of good friends from racing, which, yeah, I've made heaps of good friends, like, you know, like Rusty Ross, Jack Westbury, Tyler Collins, all those guys from go-kart, they're all really good friends to me. You know, all those sort of guys there. Yeah, they're awesome guys. And so now I'm going to sort of talk a bit about what you get sort of driving wise, skills and all that you need to know, even just for basic life things like just driving around on the road, that you'd also get from motorsport racing, and just general things you learn. So with like motorsport racing and all that, you learn a lot of skills like just like reaction times and all that, because if there's like, let's say just up there, boom, there's a crash and it's like right in front of me, I'd have to sort of swerve out of the way for it and avoid that crash. It's like if you're going down like one of the biggest highways in Australia, the M1, and as usual there's a crash, you'd always, instead of just being like, oh no, what do I do? Oh, it's too late now, I've already hit him. You're more like, it's like, oh crap, there's a crash. And you can turn out of the way. I'm in basically a Formula 1 car, so that wasn't a good idea, but you kind of get what I mean. And also just driving around, if I get into a slide here, you'll be able to correct it. For example, like, say you're going around a corner and it's on a really rainy day. Going around a corner, oh, the back's starting to come out. You can learn how to sort of correct it by using oversteer. So yeah, that's really things that you'd want to know just for, if you're out driving, even just to make you safer, like a safer driver. And you can also get this stuff out of simulator racing. Like, I don't do too much simulator racing, but I'm going to. But you can also just learn a lot of these skills on simulators, which is good. So yeah. And also, like, just getting on, being able to control, going fast and all that, going around corners properly. Like, instead of just going around a corner at like 100 k's an hour in a normal car and end up, bashing into a tree or something. I've seen plenty of stories where things like that have happened. Like, even just motorsport racing teaches you how much you have to slow down, what the car's limit is, how fast you can go through a corner. So things like that's really, really good. But, like, now it's just, let me say it again. I'm going to talk a little bit now about, like, this video is only meant to be short. I'm only really I can talk a lot in depth about all these sort of subjects, but I'm only really skimming over them. Now I'm going to talk about other skills that you learn, like, not driving, but things, say almost, things in your brain that you learn. So, like, if you get into racing, you learn, like, you'd have to learn a lot about ratios, like, for example, fuel ratios. You have to learn about that, like for example, this is just an easy ratio, but, well, not an easy, but a basic ratio that you'd have to know. How much fuel to put into the car to get through a certain amount of laps in a race or through a certain amount of time in a practice. And also, how much fuel to put in the car to make it, at its optimum for qualifying, but then you have to put in a bit extra, so then you can get a couple laps to warm the tyres up. And also you'd have to know, like, for example, just, I'm trying to think of like a more harder to know ratio. Maybe, like, for example, camber on tyres compared to, track conditions, like, the heat, how much rubber there is on the track, all those things, how long the race duration is. And then also you'd have to also know things like tyre pressures and all that, to work all that. It's a lot of stuff you have to know. Like, when my dad was talking me through all the things you gotta do to set up a kart for even just a practice day, I was like, whoa, that's like heaps of stuff you gotta know. And he was just, like, didn't even really have a book or anything. He had to write it all down. And, like, at first he did, like, when we started off racing and all that, he had to, call in friends and that and say, hey, how do I do this? But now he's sort of like, alright, well, I know how to do this. He just does it straight away, just that fast. And, like, even just fixing up, like, a car or a go-kart, like, I remember I was at Lismore Kart Club and I had a pretty big crash where I was on the inside, and sort of pit entry is right at the very left of the track, it's the inside of the track. And this is only in a practice session, but some kid thought that when the checkered flag comes out, you got to dart straight into the pits, you don't get like a cool down lap or anything. So I was going past pit entry, he comes hooking it across the track, trying to get into the pits, and ends up hitting the side, and the whole kart, like, the sprocket was cracked and all mangled. The side pod was all bent up and nearly hitting my elbow. The axle was, I can't even explain how bent it was. Steering column was bent, all those things. The rims were damaged on the right side. All stuff like that, and Dad's like, alright, well, we've got a race tomorrow. Alright. and I think he got it fixed within a couple hours, which if I was trying to do it on my own, I probably wouldn't even be able to get fixed, no matter how much time I got given. So it's just amazing some of this, like even just skills you can pick up from doing this sort of stuff, like just sort of thinking, problem solving, all those sorts of things you can pick up from just racing. Like, yeah, having to know sort of tire pressures depending on track conditions and all that, like time of day, heat of the track, all that, the length of the track. And if you're in a car like this, you'd have to know your angles, you know, wing angles, depending on how many fast corners there are on the track, like what sort of corners they are, if they're long sweeping corners, or you know, corners like this where you got to slow down a bit and then go through them, or just, you know, flat out corners like this one. That last little bend I went through is what I was talking about. But you'd have to know all that stuff. And also, sort of just knowing lines through corners as well. It's normally through corners, outside, inside, outside, but you know, sometimes it could be different depending on the sort of corner. Like this corner here, if it was a double right-hander, you know, I might have to sort of do this and sort of stick around the outside here instead of going, you know, right to the inside. So yeah. So yeah, that was sort of just briefly what you can get out of racing. And you know, if you're looking into getting into some sort of racing, yeah, like get into the racing. It's a very good thing to try and get into, because you know, you end up with lifelong friendships and all that. You end up with a lot of knowledge, even just on how to set cars up and all that. And then you can go, and then if you want, like, there's your friends getting into it, for example, and they don't know what they're doing, you know, you can go along, sort of help them and all that. But with sort of go-karting, you know, Honda XL racing, all that sort of stuff, I reckon it's more of like just a go out there, have fun, you know, enjoy yourself sort of racing, not like go out there, win, get the money, do all that sort of stuff. Like, for us, go-karting ended up becoming more of like a serious racing. So that's why we left, because everyone was getting too serious about go-karting, and it was like, everyone, you know, you hit them up the back, you hit them up the bum while you're going down the track, and they come in screaming at you, you know, their dad's screaming at you, or mum, whatever. But yeah, you know, whenever that used to happen, I used to accidentally hit someone up from behind. They come in like, oh, what was that for? Oh, sorry, that was an accident. Oh yeah, it's all good. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, so that was just briefly me talking about what you get out of racing, all that. Yeah, racing is such a good sort of sport. Yeah, I'd recommend it. Just, it depends what sort of race you're getting into though as well. Like, if you want to work your way up to, you know, V8 supercars or Formula 1 racing, you probably get into like the sort of smaller, you know, Formula 4s, Formula 4s, Honda XL, all that sort of stuff, to like before you end up racing. And yeah, just simulators help a lot. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. This video was definitely different from most of my videos that I do, because most of my videos are obviously going to be edits, but I am doing like a few videos kind of like this, like sort of tutorials on driving certain cars and all that. Just sort of little talks like this. So yeah, please, yeah, do subscribe and like the video for, like, you know, edits, bit more videos like this. Comment if you want more videos kind of like this. Turn on notifications so that you know when I upload. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in another video.